All right, it's time to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, happyhippo.com. So if you guys haven't checked this out, you got to go to happyhippo.com because they have some of the highest quality kratom products that I've ever come across. And if you guys aren't familiar with what kratom is, it's an herbal substance that has many different uses, everything from a balanced mind to energy. It can help you relax. And my wife and I, over the last couple of weeks, have tried out some of their products. And I have to say, it has improved her sleep specifically. She's very anxious and her mind runs at night, and it has helped her fall asleep and stay asleep. She actually was using one of the powders that comes in a pouch from Happy Hippo and just dropped it into her water, and off she went, and she was just she was very happy. Let me just put it that way. And so myself, during the workday, if you guys didn't know, I have a big boy job. I work in contract management, and I need that balance. I need the energy during the day, and they have something called Hyper Hippo and an energy shot. Those energy shots come in those little tiny bottles. You guys are familiar with it from other brands that use that type of packaging, but there's nothing like this, all right? This energy shot, I take it, easy to take, and within minutes, I feel the effects. There's no massive crash after I take it either, which is a huge deal, right? How many energy drinks have you taken and coffee have you drank throughout the day that just leads to the massive crash? Well, this doesn't, and it's an all-natural herb. And I'm telling you right now, it will help you get through your day. It can help you relax, depending on the type of product you're looking for. Happy Hippo delivers. And guess what? Right now, if you have an order of 200 or more, you can get free next day FedEx shipping. And also their stuff tastes great. So check out happyhippo.com. Support the WWE podcast and Happy Hippo. And do yourself a favor as well, guys. I'm telling you right now, if it can help my wife go to sleep, for somebody as anxious as she is and as somebody that needs as much energy as I do during the day to do this podcast and to do my job during the day. And right now, you can save 15% on your entire order by using promo code WWE15. That's right, WWE15 will get you 15% off of your entire order. And starting August 28th, they are having their largest sale of the year on their Hyper Hippo product, 40% off. So you'll definitely want to check them out then. But anytime you can use WWE15 as your promo code to get 15% off your entire order. Check out happyhippo.com, whether you're trying to relax or whether you need energy or balance during the day. Happyhippo.com.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me. Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
What's going on, everybody? Guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I'm one of the hosts of this show, Micheal Ritter. You can find me on X at Micheal5Ritter, and also one of the hosts of the Football Function Podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms, including the one that you're listening to this show on, and also available on Patreon if you prefer an ad-free experience, which you could also get here for the WWE Podcast, as well as access to a Discord server where you can communicate through all of these entertaining episodes of SmackDown, Raw, premium live events. The list goes on and on. Even just regular conversations throughout the day. If you feel like talking wrestling, random thought hits your mind, you feel like, throwing it out to some fellow wrestling fans and gauging their interest, or kind of just, having a conversation. The Discord is always a place that you can do that. So I highly recommend subscribing to the WWE Podcast over on Patreon and Football Function if you're feeling really frisky and you just feel like supporting a fellow WWE Podcast host. But nonetheless, guys, that was a very, very good episode of SmackDown. Let's call it what it is, a phenomenal season premiere, because that's what it was. They were labeling it all throughout the night. The logo, the SmackDown logo, had a yellow season premiere banner kind of right there in the middle of it. I expect Monday Night Raw to have the same thing, which, disclaimer, I'm going to be there in Oklahoma City for Monday Night Raw, the Raw season premiere. And I'm hoping that it's the same. I hope they deliver. I hope they have the same type of energy. Like the creative team was absolutely ready to put on a show, and the people that were involved. Just an all-around great episode of SmackDown. And I don't always like to, I don't do like a star rating or anything like that. But if I were to, I would have to give last night a 5-star rating. Just when you think about everything that took place. And of course, we're going to talk about it chronologically, how it all took place on SmackDown, everything that happened, all the events that transpired. But man, once you just list them off, it's insane. There was a lot of things that took place last night, so we're going to get into all of them, and I'm looking forward to doing just that. I do apologize for not being here last week. It was pretty much just a little bit of a vacation for me. I usually, whenever I go on a quote-unquote vacation, I'm going to a Falcons game or some type of trip across the country where I have something to do specifically, and that's essentially why I'm there in the first place. This trip was very different in a sense that I had nothing really planned. We went to the mountains, Angel Fire, New Mexico, just to be specific. I'm not sure if any of you who live way across the country from where I am right now, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with some of the mountain spots in New Mexico and Colorado, just in this area, in this sort of Midwest area. There's a lot of nature that you can go out and experience and enjoy, and I got to do that last week. It was phenomenal. Just the experience. I was able to stay in a cabin that was, I don't even know the exact price, but long story short, there were 10 of us that went, $250 per person for 3 nights. So that's, you do the math, 250 times 10 for 3 nights. That's how much it cost to get this Airbnb. But it was such a great view in the mountains. The view that we had off the balcony was breathtaking, getting all types of footage. And obviously taking advantage of some of the laws that they have there. It's a great time, a great place to vacation. If you feel like seeing a different side of the country that you've never seen before, I highly recommend going to the mountains here in the Midwest. But with all that being said, guys, I am back here this week to talk about the season premiere of SmackDown, which is always kind of weird that they do it like this. I would try to strategize it where the season premiere took place in January, like at the very beginning of January, just because it seems like it makes sense. That way your seasons could be in lockstep with your years. That's kind of, one thing that I always appreciated about baseball is the way that they start their season. The spring league, essentially, that kind of starts like in late January, maybe early February, whatever. But they start playing baseball in January to kind of early in that little pre-spring window when winter's kind of on the way out and you're kind of transitioning into spring. I know it's different depending on where you live. Like if you live in New York City, your winters are way longer than the ordinary winter. But as far as the baseball season goes, it starts in January and it ends in October. So it takes place in one calendar year, whereas basketball, football, all of the other sports, they usually start in one year and they end in another. And I get it. It's pretty much nitpicking. I understand why WWE decides to have their quote-unquote season premiere in the middle of fall. It's because that's whenever most TV shows do. SmackDown is still a TV show, so it makes sense why they try to kind of be in lockstep with other shows and just, fit the TV schedule. But it is what it is. I did appreciate this season premiere. It was a phenomenal episode. They definitely delivered. And we're going to go ahead and get into it. This episode aired on October 13th, Friday the 13th, 2023. Friday the 13th always just hit a little bit different in October, right? Just because it's the spooky month, Halloween, everything going on here in this month. You have to appreciate whenever Friday the 13th falls in October. It just always seems like it puts a nice cherry on top of the month whenever you get that type of bonus holiday. Because I know some people actually take this very serious. Like there's a tattoo shop here where I live, and every time there's a Friday the 13th, they have some type of like promotion where you pay like $5 and you get like there's like 25 different options. And if you pay $5, you can get one of the random tattoos. You don't get to pick. Now, if it lands on one that you don't want, you can give another $5 and kind of get a respin. But pretty much you don't get to just pick which tattoo you get for the $5. And I would never do that just because it's pretty, big deal getting a tattoo. But I totally understand. If you already have like a full sleeve or you're just tatted up all over, one little tattoo here or there won't really make a difference. But a little bit of a fun fact, I believe that there's not going to be another Friday the 13th until next September. So a pretty long time before another one, just for those of you who actually care about that type of stuff. This episode took place in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Location breakdown brought to you by none other than Mr. DJ Kuzmo. Shout out to DJ as always. And it was kind of surprising to me. I should have definitely done my research because John from the SmackDown review, he and I are going to this Raw that's going to be in Oklahoma City. I already told you guys that. And he's the one that presented the tickets. He was like, oh, man, we got to go to this. I was like, oh, for sure, 100%. Let's go. We ended up getting our tickets. And, it's on me as well because I didn't go look at the schedule or, the areas that WWE is going to be during the weeks because they typically have live events throughout the week. And, if there's another show that's closer than Oklahoma City, why not go to that one too? And when it was brought to my attention that Tulsa was going to be the place of this SmackDown, after we already bought our tickets, I was like, man, we definitely could have gone to this Friday Night SmackDown, maybe instead of the Raw. But I will say, it's long overdue that I go to a Monday Night Raw. It was the show that I watched growing up as a kid. Never been there. I've been to 2 Royal Rumbles, been to a WrestleMania, live events out the wazoo. It's time that I go to a Monday Night Raw, and I'm glad that I'm finally getting the chance to do that. But I will take the blame for dropping the ball on that because, this is something that I do. When it comes to getting tickets to events and all that, all that good stuff, I have a lot of experience in that department. So I'll take the L on this one and say, yep, I should have definitely, scoped out the whole landscape a little bit better. But nonetheless, guys, we're still going to a Monday Night Raw. And if the season premiere is anything like tonight, then I expect it to be a hell of a show. And I'm definitely looking forward to going. However, this episode of SmackDown, it started we only get, 2 more weeks left to John Cena? Something along those lines. Not a whole lot more, unfortunately. I know I kind of am sad to see it go as well. We're not going to get a whole lot more of these runs from these legends. It is what it is. It's just part of the beauty of wrestling, the beauty of it going full circle. At one point, John Cena was the prototype coming into WWE or just into professional wrestling in general. And he was the one that was having to be shown the ropes. He was the one that was seeing The Undertaker backstage, getting the handshake and the stamp of approval saying, hey, you did all right today, kid. And now John Cena is that person. He's that role where, he's looked at as the measuring stick. Where if John Cena tips his hat to you and says, hey, you're doing this right, that probably is all you need to hear to continue on the path that you're going on. So yeah, John Cena is definitely someone who, whenever he's around in WWE, you have to soak it up. You have to appreciate it. Even if you're not a John Cena fan, it's not guaranteed that we're going to see a plethora of polarizing figures. We have Roman Reigns where when his music hits, when you hear that music, that it's going to be either really, really loud cheers or really, really loud boos, depending on the arena, the city that we're in, how they particularly feel about Roman Reigns. With John Cena, his music's the exact same. Whenever his music hits, it's going to be polarizing. Now I feel like he gets a lot more cheers because he's not around, but if he's on the main roster here every week, people do get tired of him, and you hear a lot more of those boos kind of creep in. But my whole point in saying that is just that there's not a lot of people that move the needle like that. Obviously, LA Knight, it's a pretty big one. Cody Rhodes. But still, it's not a guarantee that somebody like John Cena or that the people that I just mentioned are as hot as they are forever. Every flame burns out. Every torch has to be passed. And eventually, we're going to see John Cena fully go into the sunset. So whenever I hear his music, when I see him open the show, it always just hits a little bit harder. Obviously, he comes out and welcomes us to the season premiere of SmackDown. He's very quickly, almost immediately interrupted by Roman Reigns. We hear his music. He comes out. And right away, it's like, dude, if you're going to open my show, you got to do it the right way. And obviously, he tells Tulsa to acknowledge him, which they do. He has some more words for Cena, pretty much tells him to leave and that he's not the GOAT. Roman Reigns calls himself the GOAT, obviously, and John Cena pretty much agrees. He goes in lockstep with Roman and says, hey, I'm not here to challenge you. I'm going to throw you a curveball. I'm going to be honest with you here, and I'm going to acknowledge you. He acknowledges his streak, how long he's been on this title run. He says the exact number, and he says, I don't care what any announcer says. That's the greatest accomplishment of all time in WWE. And whenever you think about, that what John Cena just said, you could feel a certain way about it because obviously it's not the longest streak. So technically, is it the most impressive thing that anybody's ever done in the history of WWE if it's not even the longest streak? So you can argue that, but obviously a different era. Things are a little bit different now where title reigns aren't that long. And obviously his title run is a little bit different in terms of the time in between his defenses. You can nitpick all you want. That's not for me to do right now. I'm just simply saying that when John Cena said that, I knew that, all right, that's going to get some people talking. Like, is that the greatest thing, the greatest accomplishment of all time in WWE? That's for you to decide. It's a very subjective topic, nonetheless. And John Cena continues to say that he's not here to challenge Roman Reigns tonight because he truly believes that he hasn't earned it. Him being himself, John Cena. John Cena feels like he hasn't earned an opportunity to challenge Roman Reigns, but he does have somebody in mind that has earned it. And that person is obviously LA Knight, whose music hits, comes out. And this is great right here. Like the face-off that we got, just the quick face-to-face to show you, like, we're going down this path. We're getting Roman Reigns versus LA Knight sooner rather than later. They wanted to put him in the same ring. They wanted to gauge the crowd reaction. And I feel like it definitely passed the eye test. Like when you look at what they wanted to accomplish, I'm not going to go down the line and quote them word for word as far as what their promos were. If you need to see this, or if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Like seriously, pause this show, go to your YouTube app, just go somewhere and find a way to watch this segment because I'm not going to do it justice. They wanted to see if LA Knight could stand on equal footing with Roman Reigns, and to be completely honest, he held his own. He really did. There was a battle of words here, and LA Knight didn't back down. Of course, Roman Reigns had some one-liners for him, talking about how I was gone for a couple months, and well, good, whoop-de-doo, they say your name now. Well, big deal. I've done things that you couldn't even fathom. Things that you dream of at night to like in being in this business, I've already accomplished. Go count the WrestleMania main events that I've been in. Now, Roman Reigns didn't say that, but that's pretty much what he was getting to. Like, dude, there's levels to this. Like, you really think, what are you doing in the same ring as me? Like, do you really think you're worthy of challenging me? And obviously, as confident as he could be, LA Knight really believes that he can dethrone Roman Reigns. I don't know if this is the right time because Roman Reigns is clearly like we're already well into the year. He's not going to lose it in November. He's not going to lose it right before the Royal Rumble. Like that makes absolutely no sense. So there is part of me that is a little bit bummed out about this whole thing. Like, like I kind of wanted to wait. LA Knight could have floated around in that United States or Intercontinental title picture before he fully went after Roman Reigns. But hey, if they're going to strap a rocket to his back and launch him to that main event scene, then I'm here for it. I guess what I'm anticipating from all this, not a title win for LA Knight. He's not going to take the championship from Roman Reigns, but he could fully cement himself in that Drew McIntyre tier, like where he's good enough to be a champion, whether it's the World Heavyweight Champion or the Undisputed Champion. He's good enough to be either one, but for some reason, whether it's just a factor of time or opportunity or something behind the scenes that we're not really aware of, he just doesn't really get those opportunities, but he's loved by the crowd, which LA Knight is, similar to Drew McIntyre. And I could see him kind of cementing himself on that level. But the thing is, obviously he's no spring chicken. LA Knight isn't necessarily someone who just got called up from NXT, for God's sake. Like, this is someone who's been around the block. Like, this is someone who was a jobber on Raw in like 2006, Like, he's been around the block, and this is kind of his opportunity. It's now or never for LA Knight. He's never going to be as hot as he is in this moment. And, I don't know how long this heat's going to last. It could last all the way up to WrestleMania. We've seen the WWE universe get behind people like this, where they're chanting their name. You look at their merch sales, they're through the roof. You look in the crowd, you see so many fans, so many signs. Just people want to see LA Knight. And if he ends up falling short to Roman Reigns, so be it. But I hope it's not a one-off. And that's kind of the only downfall about this Roman Reigns championship run is if you're not the next coming of Jesus, like if you're not like, I don't even know, like the next Brock Lesnar pretty much, like who is going to be worthy of beating Roman Reigns? You know, they want to do The Rock. We've seen The Rock on WWE TV. Like, it's time to stop acting like that's I guess, far-fetched just pipe dream. No, that's very, very possible. Could very likely happen this year at WrestleMania, which kind of sort of sucks because, like, that's what I'm trying to get at is it makes the challengers that go up to face Roman Reigns almost defeated before they get in there. Like, you can get excited about the opportunity. Like Sami Zayn, whenever he had an opportunity at Roman Reigns in his hometown, everybody was excited for him. Like, oh, nice, man. Sami Zayn really gets this opportunity. He's in that main event picture. And we were kind of hoping the same thing. Like, is this going to cement him kind of at the top? He ended up going into a historical program in the tag team championship picture, which took him out of that discussion. I don't see that happening to LA Knight, but I don't know. It's just, I wish that this were more kind of like, and I hate to always allude to the Ruthless Aggression era, but whenever Triple H was a dominant World Heavyweight Champion, the people that stepped up to challenge him, it was guys like Shawn Michaels, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, Scott Steiner. And when you look at that, I mean, obviously the list goes on and on. Chris Benoit had an opportunity there as well. Like, many people were able to have a chance at Triple H, and it didn't feel like this dude was unbeatable. Like, there was a chance you could beat him. A couple of those guys did actually take the championship from Triple H. Whereas with Roman Reigns, there's a list of like 15, like, borderline Hall of Famers. Let's be honest. Some of them are. Look at Edge. Look at Daniel Bryan. Those are Hall of Fame wrestlers. Kevin Owens is no slouch in his own right. John Cena. Like, the list goes on and on for the people that Roman Reigns has put down in this path of dominance. It's not going to stop anytime soon, just being completely honest. So that's why whenever you see somebody like LA Knight be thrusted into that opportunity, you know he's just going to be another name that's on that list. But if you are an LA Knight fan, just appreciate that he's here. You really never know what's going to happen. I know that this seems like, you know, a rant. It's not. It's really just me kind of acknowledging, no pun intended, the situation that we're in here with Roman Reigns as the champion. And whether you're Cody Rhodes, whether you're LA Knight, anybody here at this point in the calendar year is not going to be the guy to take out Roman Reigns. So I'm going to appreciate the program. We're going to get some A1 promos out of it. We're going to get some badass segments. Some SmackDowns are going to be fire because of this. So yeah, sign me up. I'm just kind of already, you know, maybe foolishly putting the wagon in front of the horse here. Maybe I need to slow down a little bit and, you know, not get ahead of myself and kind of just let this whole thing play out. But I definitely want to see LA Knight at least not get squashed. You know, I want to see him look formidable here. And, you know, like I said, man, have a good solid run there in the mid card or the upper mid card, maybe even as a champion. But let's go ahead and continue on here in the SmackDown season premiere. We get our first match of the night with the Brawling Brutes taking on the returning Pretty Deadly. Not necessarily a long match here. Pretty Deadly does steal the win after getting a little cheap shot on Ridge Holland while the official was checking on a quote-unquote injured Elton Strong. And this was a nice little shot here. I will give it to Ridge. Like, Ridge has been buried ever since the Big E injury, you know, and I'm not here to defend him or say anything like that, but I will say, like, to completely, you know, want to just end the guy's career and, you know, get him off my TV because of a mistake that he made that he clearly didn't do on purpose is a little bit far-fetched. Not only that, but I mean, I understand. I've seen video packages where, hey, I mean, he's gotten close on a couple other guys too. He's not necessarily the safest worker to work with, but if you look at the way he sells, it's not like he dishes it and doesn't take it. Like, it's not like he's one of the guys that, yeah, kind of like where Nia Jax, she injures people left and right, and you don't ever see anybody, you know, getting their comeuppance on Nia Jax. Whereas with Ridge Holland, go look at the shots he takes. Like this cheap shot that he took late in the match that actually won it for Pretty Deadly. He was supposedly kind of, you know, trying to peek over the referee's back to see how Elton Strong was doing, if he was going to be able to, you know, continue on in the match. And then, man, I can't remember the other one's name. The other tag team member of Pretty Deadly. That's definitely on me. I apologize there. But he got a nice little insecurity type kick, kicked him right in the mouth, Ridge Holland. That's what I said, you know, great sell, great shot that he took there, made it believable. Next thing you know, Elton Strong gets up, rolls him up, Pretty Deadly gets the win. Not really a surprising finish here. I definitely would have predicted them in their debut. I mean, they were kind of getting off to a hot start anyway, and that continues now that they're back to full strength.
All right, it's time to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, happyhippo.com. So if you guys haven't checked this out, you got to go to happyhippo.com because they have some of the highest quality kratom products that I've ever come across. And if you guys aren't familiar with what kratom is, it's an herbal substance that has many different uses, everything from a balanced mind to energy. It can help you relax. And my wife and I, over the last couple of weeks, have tried out some of their products. And I have to say, it has improved her sleep specifically. She's very anxious and her mind runs at night, and it has helped her fall asleep and stay asleep. She actually was using one of the powders that comes in a pouch from Happy Hippo and just dropped it into her water, and off she went, and she was just she was very happy. Let me just put it that way. And so myself, during the workday, if you guys didn't know, I have a big boy job. I work in contract management, and I need that balance. I need the energy during the day, and they have something called Hyper Hippo and an energy shot. And those energy shots come in those little tiny bottles. You guys are familiar with it from other brands that use that type of packaging, but there's nothing like this. All right. This energy shot, I take it, easy to take, and within minutes, I feel the effects. There's no massive crash after I take it either, which is a huge deal, right? How many energy drinks have you taken and coffee have you drank throughout the day that just leads to the massive crash? Well, this doesn't, and it's an all-natural herb. And I'm telling you right now, it will help you get through your day. It can help you relax, depending on the type of product you're looking for. Happy Hippo delivers. And guess what? Right now, if you have an order of 200 or more, you can get free next day FedEx shipping. And also their stuff tastes great. So check out happyhippo.com. Support the WWE podcast and Happy Hippo. And do yourself a favor as well, guys. I'm telling you right now, if it can help my wife go to sleep, for somebody as anxious as she is and as somebody that needs as much energy as I do during the day to do this podcast and to do my job during the day. And right now, you can save 15% on your entire order by using promo code WWE15. That's right, WWE15 will get you 15% off of your entire order. And starting August 28th, they are having their largest sale of the year on their Hyper Hippo product, 40% off. So you'll definitely want to check them out then. But anytime you can use WWE15 as your promo code to get 15% off your entire order. Check out happyhippo.com, whether you're trying to relax or whether you need energy or balance during the day. Happyhippo.com.
Moving on to a backstage interview with Carlito, Caleb Braxton asks him, hey, now that you're here, pretty much what does your return mean? How does it feel to be back in the WWE? What's one way that you can describe it? And obviously he tosses an apple up in the air and says, the only way I can describe this is cool, which, that was nice. I appreciated that. I will say, though, Carlito being back, great. I love that signing right there. He's somebody who's kept himself in shape. If you look at him, it really doesn't look like he's aged at all. His old character didn't have the facial hair, though. That's the thing. I've always wondered, what's going on? What looks so different about Carlito? He looks still in shape. Why does he look older? What's different about him? It's the facial hair. If you got rid of that, we could really get it back. Let's get a nice, unbuttoned button-up shirt. Those, loose pants. I need to see heel Carlito with someone who was that dude that he had with him? I know, keep in mind, this is 14, 15 years ago, probably a lot longer if I'm being honest. I can't remember the guy. Was it Luther Reigns? Somebody was with Carlito. It might not have been him. I know DJ Kuzma was going to answer this question for me for sure, so shout out DJ. But I can't remember who was, Carlito's lackey, for a lack of a better word, who his heavy was back whenever he had somebody stab John Cena in a nightclub. Let's not forget about that either, guys. Come on. We're just welcoming this guy back when he tried to freaking get John Cena murdered, for Christ's sake. But anyways, we continue on here, and as Carlito was continuing on with his backstage interview with Caleb Braxton, Bobby Lashley approaches him and just, kind of tries to give him some backhanded compliments, reminds him about the last time that he was here in WWE. Lashley was actually beating him up on SmackDown. Coincidentally, that's where we are right now. So Carlito suggests, why don't we celebrate me being back by my first match being against you right here on SmackDown. And before Lashley can even accept, because he obviously doesn't accept, he says, I'm not dressed to compete right now. The Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, sneak up behind Carlito and attack him. They're jumping him from behind until Adam Pearce and not Chad Gable. Jeez, I don't know why. I cannot think of anything. I know it's a little bit early in the morning for me, but I cannot think of who. Jason Jordan. Good God, I'm glad I at least thought about that one and it was able to come to me. But for some reason, I cannot remember names today. So that is on me. Don't be coming for me in the reviews either or any comments like that, taking shots because I don't remember the names. Hey, it's early in the morning and, it is what it is. But after a commercial break, things stay backstage whenever Zelina Vega and the rest of LWO is checking on Carlito. Bayley is kind of being super annoying right there, trying to get Adam Pearce's attention, take it away from, Carlito obviously is banged up on the ground. Zelina Vega does not like that. She kind of gets in Bayley's face. They start bickering at each other back and forth. Adam Pearce screams at the top of his lungs. Obviously, I'm trying to do something right now. He has a Charles Robinson. There we go. Almost. If I'm forgetting Charles Robinson's name, I just need to turn the mic off right now. But he tells referee Charles Robinson to head to the ring and also makes a match official between Zelina Vega and Bayley. So we get that immediately after this. And there's all kinds of outside interference from Damage Control. Bayley does get the win, and they try to jump Zelina right after the match. But we see Charlotte, quote-unquote, run out. She's wearing heels. So that's the thing that always bothers me about Charlotte. She wants to have her cake and eat it too. Like, she wants to look like this, like pretty much heels, a designer outfit. And it looks great. Don't get me wrong. She looks phenomenal. But you can't look like that and try to run out to the ring and save somebody. And, whenever it's a 3-on-1 disadvantage, and it would be 3-on-2 even with you there in your high heels. And it took her forever to get to the ring. Like, she had to pretty much walk kind of fast. Like, it just almost defeats the purpose a little bit. And it really takes the intimidation factor out whenever they see you come out looking like that. Like, if you came out in your gear or if you just came out in, regular street clothes, then they're probably going to, they hauled ass anyway. They got out of the ring. But imagine if you came out and you could actually run and you actually look like you meant business. But I get it. That's not really her persona. She's the queen. She's really, I guess, you don't want to say high maintenance because that's not the term to use here. But she's very exquisite. She's very fancy. So I totally understand this here. Oh, man. We get to something really good here next in the show. Triple H comes to the ring. And he's making an announcement that involves Adam Pearce. I noticed Adam Pearce was standing there, so I knew this was going to be some official business, probably a pretty big announcement. And that's exactly what it was. He kind of gives Adam Pearce a pat on the back and says, hey, you've done a really good job managing both of these shows, being the quote-unquote official for the past couple of years, the last few years here on, in the WWE. And, it's not an easy gig by any means, and you've done a pretty good job, as good of a job as anybody can do in this position. But he does say that you're about to get a promotion, and he calls him the new general manager of Monday Night Raw. And then he introduces the new general manager of SmackDown, which is Nick Aldis, I believe, a very big buff dude, looks like a bodybuilder in a suit. He got over in this segment because not only did Adam Pearce join Triple H in the ring, but Dominic comes out. And I don't even know exactly. He's getting booed. It's hard to really focus on what Dominic is saying. It's always about the Judgment Day and we got screwed out of the titles, whatever. I don't even really. Dominic was kind of an afterthought here because when Nick Aldis gets introduced, he does walk up and he gives Dominic a nice handshake and says, I'm a big fan of your dad, which was hilarious. I will say we rewinded it. It was funny. That was a great first impression for Nick Aldis, and I really think he's going to be a nice addition here on SmackDown. I absolutely love the idea of bringing general managers back. Like, you guys know how I feel about the brand split. You telling me that we have one guy running SmackDown, one guy running Raw? That's a huge step in the right direction to making this brand split feel structured, to making it actually feel legit. And the fact that they did execute a trade, like, it's finally been official. We didn't just get Jey Uso moving over to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown got nothing in return. We finally got that return tonight, which was Kevin freaking Owens. Not trying to rip off Seth freaking Rollins. I'm just saying I was genuinely excited when I heard his music hit. I love Kevin Owens. I would do that trade 10 times out of 10. That's no disrespect to Jey Uso. I know my buddy John, as you guys know. Huge Jey Uso fan. Whenever we go to Monday Night Raw, he's going to wear his Jey Uso shirt. I got an LA Knight shirt, but nonetheless, guys, I make this trade 10 times out of 10. So excited to get Kevin Owens back on Friday Night SmackDown, and hopefully this means we're going to get him to be taken serious, Like, it's not that he hasn't, but this is another guy that could really, be a big-time player here on this show, and, with the new general manager being introduced, this just seemed like a really big night here on SmackDown, and it felt like a season premiere, like I said earlier in the show, so it really just, it kind of just put the icing on the cake for it to be Kevin Owens. Now it was kind of like a little bit of two sides of the coin, because I knew as the badass wrestler was going to be introduced that we were going to get, I was like, man, I want it to be as good of a guy as possible. I want it to be, a phenomenal addition to SmackDown, but at the same time, I pretty much knew whoever was about to come out wasn't going to be there on Monday night whenever I'm there in attendance, so it was a little bit of a double-edged sword here. It is what it is. I'm fine with it. I'll take the L for the betterment of SmackDown. So yeah, shout out to Kevin Owens and welcome to the blue brand. Now, let's continue on here. Let's see, not a whole lot left, actually. Roman Reigns playing some mind games with Jimmy Uso backstage, where they were referencing who's the quarterback, who's the starter, and the backup, and what would you do if you were the quarterback, blah, blah, blah. This really wasn't anything to remember or think too far into. It's pretty much just trying to set the stage for where Roman Reigns is with Jimmy Uso, and where Jimmy is pretty much trying to be a brown noser, yada, yada, yada. We'll get a little bit more of this interaction a little bit later. But keeping things backstage, guys, we get Charlotte Flair and Jade Cargill getting a little bit of a face-to-face. Does this mean Jade's on SmackDown? I didn't see for sure. I didn't get it. I don't know exactly who, but I mean, if Charlotte's on SmackDown, shouldn't that mean if we got a little face-off between Jade and Charlotte, why would they have that if Jade was going to be a member of Raw? I don't know. All I'm saying is, man, I am really banking on Jade coming over to Friday Night SmackDown. That has a little bit of like a Porzingis coming to the Celtics feeling right there. Like, give me all of Jade Cargill coming to this women's division. You guys know how I feel about her. I told you she's been one of the people that I've wanted for years to come to WWE. Someone that I just felt like, man, she looks like a WWE wrestler. She seems too good for AEW. And that's not necessarily a shot at AEW. I'm not a huge AEW fan. I'm not an anti-AEW guy, though. You won't hear me just bash it just to bash it. But I will say, like, I think people like Jade Cargill and Kenny Omega and MJF, I mean, they're big fishes in a small pond. Let me just say that. But continuing on here, I mean, there really wasn't, I guess, much said between these two. She said, hey, I look forward to seeing you soon. I mean, Charlotte and Jade. So we're going to get that confrontation at some point. I just, like I said, hope that it takes place on SmackDown, and I loved seeing Jade finally have a little bit of camera time and maybe a little bit of microphone time. Even though she didn't have a mic, we got to hear her voice, which is more than what we've gotten in the past. So moving on here, let's continue with the show. We get A-Town Down Under versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. And this is really where Cody and Jey just look like a cohesive unit. They just look very smooth, look very well gelled, like a well-oiled machine here. They get the win relatively easy. I don't really think it was ever in doubt. And after they're leaving, after celebrating winning their Tag Team Championship match, they're walking up the stage or walking up the ramp to the stage, and we hear Roman Reigns' music play. First, it's Solo and Jimmy who come out. We get a little bit of a face-off, the two, Solo and Jimmy facing off with Cody and Jey, and then Roman Reigns comes out just a little bit behind them, and then, boy, the face-off that we got between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns is enough to make your hair stand up on your arms. It was a little bit chilling. We don't see these guys interact with each other very often, like at all. We've heard a little bit of, referencing like we're out of the third inning, guys. Like when it comes to the story, like they're on their way to do something here. I'm on board. I'm all for it. But I'm also just, acknowledging that this was a phenomenal moment. Like the face-off, it meant something. Like Roman Reigns was like, this is my show. Like you're over here on my show. You have the balls to come over to SmackDown. Like it was all off mic. You really had to read their lips to know what was being said. But just the visual of those two running into each other and their paths crossing for the first time essentially since April. Yikes, guys. That was That was some good stuff. Probably one of my favorite moments of the entire show, which it was a very loaded show. So that's saying a lot. Let's see here. Earlier, I didn't mention it in that opening segment whenever LA Knight comes out and him and Roman Reigns had that little, face-to-face. Jimmy Uso actually came out and tried to cheap shot LA Knight. He does. But he pretty much, LA Knight that is, makes light work of Jimmy Uso, throws him over the top rope. We get a little face-to-face with Roman Reigns again. And that's whenever, Roman tells Solo to pretty much take care of LA Knight, and he challenges him to a match tonight, which ends up being the main event. And that is what we get right now, LA Knight versus Solo Sikoa in the main event. And as you would expect, phenomenal match. It honestly felt more than what it was. Like, it was entertaining, and it really felt like something more than just your typical thrown together main event. Like something like that happens in the opening segment. We get a little bit of an encounter that sets up for the main event. That was your typical format, but it felt more because of maybe the players involved, the people that were there, the storylines that's going on. It felt, really hard-hitting, really fast-paced, and that's exactly what it was. Thankfully, LA Knight gets the win. At one point, Solo Sikoa was damn near unbeatable. And now, we've seen guys like Cody Rhodes get the better of him. Also, obviously LA Knight just did it last night. I'm sure there's another name that I'm forgetting that's beaten Solo Sikoa. But nonetheless, LA Knight's a very, very hot wrestler right now. So the fact that you get a main event win in the season premiere of SmackDown on a show that featured Roman Reigns, on a show that featured John Cena, a trade for Kevin Owens, bringing in a new general manager, and it's LA Knight who closes the show with a win. That says a lot. However, it wasn't his hand being raised whenever SmackDown went off the air. Roman Reigns comes in and he delivers a very vicious spear right to LA Knight, just to remind him, like, okay, this is what you want. You really want to go one-on-one with the big dog. You really want to step into the yard with me. You want to come for the tribal chief, you better not miss, because I got these spears for days. And he just let him know exactly what it feels like. And you could probably expect a couple more of those during this program. I know it's going to be a very, very fun one. I already kind of said my piece and how I feel about it. So we'll definitely let that play out. But guys, that does do it for me here on the SmackDown review. Obviously, I appreciate you guys tuning in here and making the show part of your weekly routine. Obviously, it means a lot to me. I hope you guys will continue to do that as we get through the rest of 2023. Also, tune into the other shows here on the WWE podcast, as well as the Football Function. I will definitely appreciate it if you would go give us a listen over there. We have some familiar voices from the WWE podcast, so you'll definitely enjoy it. And if you're a football fan, it's definitely right up your alley. There is no football podcast out there that delivers more. I can confidently say that. We not only have NFL coverage, college football coverage, fantasy football coverage, but a show dedicated to primetime games specifically. A lot of bases are covered on the Football Function podcast, so definitely go give us a listen if that's something you're into. But guys, one more time, thank you so much for listening. Have a damn good rest of your weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, it's time to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's episode, happyhippo.com. So if you guys haven't checked this out, you got to go to happyhippo.com because they have some of the highest quality kratom products that I've ever come across. And if you guys aren't familiar with what kratom is, it's an herbal substance that has many different uses, everything from a balanced mind to energy. It can help you relax. And my wife and I, over the last couple of weeks, have tried out some of their products. And I have to say, it has improved her sleep specifically. She's very anxious and her mind runs at night, and it has helped her fall asleep and stay asleep. She actually was using one of the powders that comes in a pouch from Happy Hippo and just dropped it into her water, and off she went, and she was just she was very happy. Let me just put it that way. And so myself, during the workday, if you guys didn't know, I have a big boy job. I work in contract management, and I need that balance. I need the energy during the day, and they have something called Hyper Hippo and an energy shot. Those energy shots come in those little tiny bottles. You guys are familiar with it from other brands that use that type of packaging, but there's nothing like this. All right. This energy shot, I take it, easy to take, and within minutes, I feel the effects. There's no massive crash after I take it either, which is a huge deal, right? How many energy drinks have you taken and coffee have you drank throughout the day that just leads to the massive crash? Well, this doesn't. And it's an all natural herb. And I'm telling you right now, it will help you get through your day. It can help you relax depending on the type of product you're looking for. Happy Hippo delivers. And guess what? Right now, if you have an order of 200 or more, you can get free next day FedEx shipping. And also their stuff tastes great. So check out happyhippo.com. Support the WWE podcast and Happy Hippo. And do yourself a favor as well, guys. I'm telling you right now, if it can help my wife go to sleep, for somebody as anxious as she is and as somebody that needs as much energy as I do during the day to do this podcast and to do my job during the day. And right now, you can save 15% on your entire order by using promo code WWE15. That's right, WWE15 will get you 15% off of your entire order. And starting August 28th, they are having their largest sale of the year on their Hyper Hippo product, 40% off. So you'll definitely want to check them out then. But anytime you can use WWE15 as your promo code to get 15% off your entire order. Check out happyhippo.com, whether you're trying to relax or whether you need energy or balance during the day. Happyhippo.com.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.